Right, everyone, here are Rosie and Thor's Airedale Terrier puppies. They are, let's see, almost 5.5 weeks. Today's Tuesday, and I just felt like they were, here's Orange, I felt like they were ready for me to do this video. Like I told you, I kind of just like to watch, here's Tan, and kind of see how everybody develops and kind of go off there between the 5.5 to 6-ish mark for puppy picking. So my family did decide we are number 1 and number 2 on the list for Airedales. So we picked green and, lime green and gray. And we just pulled them aside. I pulled them out of this video because I know there's enough puppies already that it can just be a lot to have 2 more. So my family did pick those 2. One of those 2 will be available probably at like 9 to 12 weeks old. We have to kind of do all of we're keeping a male for a stud, and we just have to do all of our checks and things and make sure we pick the best possible stud that we can. And so anyways, one of those 2 will be available later. But for now, we pulled those 2 out. So that makes a little less picking for you. So there's 9 puppies here instead of 11. And then I have a lot of stuff to explain about puppy picking. And then I will pull the 3 girls and put them into this little pen and do videos on the males and then just the females. So you can kind of have even less puppies on your screen, because I know it's hard to narrow it down when they're all over the place. It's actually better when they're in a tiny little room than when they're running around like this. But I want you to get to see them and interact a little bit. See them interact. Here's Red. So the reason I have them all together right now is this is Tan. That's purple. Here's light blue. Back here we have blue and black. That's brown, light blue, red. Who's under there? I want to say green, orange. Yeah, that's green. So they're just having a great time playing and running all around. So before I go into all the details, I have them all together so that I can explain to both boy and girl buyers, here's Brown, at the same time a little bit. So we do puppy picking. The way I'm gonna do this in this video today is I'm going to list the puppies. I'm gonna put them in order from most outgoing and energetic to least outgoing. So why do I do that? Here's Brown. The reason I do that is I have really found a correlation between how they act right now at this little window of about 5.5 to 6 weeks, where they're past, if you look at 4 weeks, even sometimes 5, all you're really seeing are developmental differences. And if you look at 7 and 8 weeks, all you're seeing is crazy puppy energy. So there's like this little window where I really feel like you can see personalities. The laid back, quiet puppies now a lot of times stay really laid back, quiet, a little bit more submissive, less dominant, a little bit more dependent versus independent. And the more outgoing puppies at this age a lot of times end up alpha, independent, outgoing, very energetic. And so that can tell you a lot about your dog and your puppy, and when you're trying to pick, especially like if you have other dogs and stuff at home, it's just very helpful to take all that into account. Right here we have orange and light blue. So that's why I do it. Now with all these differences, this is purple over there, blue, black. With all these differences, these are all still Airedale Terrier puppies. So they're all under the umbrella of being an Airedale Terrier. They all are gonna have those quirky, funny, hilarious, that's Brown, Airedale traits. They're gonna be a comical dog, an outgoing, energetic dog. Here's Tan, very friendly, because that's an Airedale. Those are the things we love about Airedales. But there's a lot of different personalities amongst an Airedale. So I sometimes run into families that are looking for this exact dog like what their previous Airedale or whatever was, thinking that that is the Airedale Terrier breed that made their dog that way, which it absolutely was. But they also have their own unique personalities, so that shouldn't get lost in the equation, that they're all gonna share these things, But under the umbrella of being an Airedale, they're also gonna have a lot of differences. Here's tan, red, light blue, orange, brown, purple. So that being said, that's kind of why we do it this way, and that's kind of why I explain it like this. Trying to think what else. There just seems like there's always a lot of stuff I usually say at the beginning. The other thing I'll go into is size and coloring. Both of those things are extremely hard to predict at this age. It's hard to predict at any age. The little puppy, purple, could end up being just as big as the others, just a late bloomer. The biggest one could end up stopping at a year old, and the other ones can just keep growing. You really never know. Obviously, the size they are now indicates whether they're going to be on the larger side or the smaller side of being an Airedale. But I would say all of these guys, including Purple, she'll probably be at least 60, 65 pounds. And the rest probably will be larger than that. So probably more like upper 60s, early 70s would be my guess. Okay, so let me think if there's anything else to address to the whole crowd. Here is Tan. I'm gonna set my phone down a second, and I'm gonna put the girls into this pen, and I'm gonna try to pull the boys out a little bit out of that corner. Maybe I'll move them over here, and I'll crop this out then, so you don't have to listen to all that, but so bear with me. All right, I'm back. So we have the boys here. So like I said, I've got, excuse me, lime green and gray. I pulled them out. So we have 6 males here. So I'm going to put them from order from most outgoing to least outgoing. Oh, sorry, now I feel a sneeze coming on. Excuse me. Goodness. All right, so I have as my number 1 most outgoing male. It was pretty close tie between brown and tan. I did put brown as my number 1, but I'm already even kind of second guessing it. So I feel a little bit like those two, tan and brown, are a little bit hand in hand. Brown, it does seem like he's a lot more, like you saw even in the video, comes up, checks on me. It's not that he's gonna like come up and snuggle, but he just wants to come check in, and then he goes off and plays. Tan is a little bit more independent. He's usually like the leader of the pack. I can definitely see him being an alpha. Sorry, I'm trying to block the room behind me here, and they're all running away from me. Hey, would you come here so I can get a picture of your face? That's blue right there. So there's tan. There's brown. And just so you know, this is why we don't do the picking like off today's video. I'm trying to focus more on explaining things today. And then in the video Saturday, here's brown, tan. In the video Saturday, I will try to just like have the camera follow one puppy at a time. And here's brown, look at that. Here's brown. And then our number 3, we have light blue. So he is under there. He's very much kind of a middle of the road pup. Like maybe on the upper end as he is number 3, but he definitely is okay to let the other boys lead, but yet he'll take the lead when he needs to. But yet if something, like if a loud scary noise comes, he's the one to kind of be like, oh, what was that? I'm not just gonna charge towards that. Look at little black, so cute. So that's light blue right there. Look at him prance. Got my bone. This is black right here. Light blue. Let's see if I can scooch forward. Here comes tan. Hi, bud. All right, so my number 4 is green. So he's all the way back there right now. Try to catch him again. He's also very middle of the road, but kind of on the lower end. So light blue's kind of middle of the road on the upper end of energy. Green's on the kind of middle of the road on the lower end of energy. He's definitely one, like I said, if a loud noise or something comes, he's not gonna, ouch, get my toes. He's not just gonna charge out and take the lead to see what it was. He's gonna leave that to his other brothers. So, and then I have number 5 as black. So obviously black and then blue is my number 6. Obviously black and blue, especially blue, are more on the quiet side. Again, this is where I always emphasize, I always have people that want a laid back dog, but don't want to pick the quiet puppy. They're afraid they're not going to be playful, or, you know, a lot of times it's kids too, because they don't appear like they're going to be playful right now. Oh, that is so not a worry. You are getting an Airedale Terrier puppy that is going to be wild and playful, out of its mind playful. In even 2 weeks, the play is just crazy. Oh boy, we gotta poop. So I always want to emphasize that, like, if you are looking for a laid back puppy, black and blue are your puppies. They're gonna be the laid back ones in this litter. Sorry. And don't be afraid. I mean that with all sincerity. Do not be afraid because they're quiet in these videos. Sorry, I'm just cleaning this up. I promise you, they will liven up very soon. So here's sweet blue. Here's tan. Here's light blue. Here's green. And an eye booger. Here's black. And here is brown. All right, so those are the boys. I'm gonna jump in with the girls. All right, so from the girls, I have red as my most outgoing. These 3 girls in general, they would be, like in the whole litter, they'd be more like middle of the road puppies. So keep that in mind as I'm putting them in order. Just in the spectrum of the whole litter, they're pretty middle of the road. Red out of my females though is a little bit more my leader. That's orange behind her. She a lot of times is the first one out the door to check things out. She definitely loves to come over and check on me, but she definitely gets nervous with new scary sounds or whatever. And then number 2 is purple. So she's obviously the little one. She's really not that far behind anymore. She's just really petite. And like I said, I guess you probably didn't watch the boy video. Oh no, I think I did say that before. But anyways, size is very hard to predict. I imagine she'll probably be a 50 or a 60-pound Airedale, at least, if not larger. Obviously, she's small now. She's got some good-sized paws on her, though. She's small now, but she kind of had some problems nursing, and we had to help her with that. So it very easily could have just been for that reason. But she is healthy and really sweet. She's a firecracker. Like, she has a lot of personality. She makes me laugh. My girls always love the littler puppies in the litter, so they've snagged her as the one they always are fighting over. But she's feisty. She doesn't let her size get in the way. But she also loves to snuggle. She's very much the middle of the road for these 3, which even before this week, I kind of thought she'd be my number 1. But she's not quite my number 1. And then here's orange. So she is like blue and black for the boys. She's pretty laid back and quiet. And I just finished saying this for the boys, but I always have people that want a laid back Airedale. That's a hard thing to find, but yet they're always hesitant to pick the quiet and shy puppy, because in the video, they're not doing any really fun things. They're not showing you much personality. And I get it. It's hard to pick a puppy like that, but I promise you, they're Airedale Terrier puppies, and they will liven up. In even 2 weeks, they'll all be bouncing off the walls. So don't worry about that. If you're after a really laid back Airedale, this is your girl. But all three of these girls are really fairly laid back. So great for these guys. Size-wise, purple's the smallest. Red and orange are about the same size. Red might be a little more petite. Red has really nice dark coloring on her face. See how reddish that is? They actually all have really nice coloring. Hers is especially dark, which probably means she's going to stay black and tan. Airedales can be grizzle and tan or black and tan. And that kind of happens as their adult hair comes in at 6 to 9 months. So it's hard to predict in advance. So that's the girls. And I just realized I forgot to do size on the boys. And I know everybody's gonna wonder that. So back to the boys. I realized I forgot to do size for the boys. And I know you guys are gonna wonder that. So again, it's very, very hard to predict size. Get these guys off the pile here. I would say tan and brown and black are pretty, the big ones, they're pretty solid. Light blue would be next, then green, and then blue and green are just, they're not even like smaller. There's a hair more petite, and brown, tan, and light blue are pretty solid. So that's that.